What's going on? This is Rip Gaming Hardcore, and welcome back to another Tree of Savior video. And today we're gonna do an unusual build, but something that I'm really having fun using, and it's Druid, Krivis, and Oracle. So the centerpiece of this build is the Druid class, and I added Krivis and Oracle to increase the fighting capabilities of it. So as usual, we're gonna test it out in the fields to see if this build is even worth checking out. Let's do this. Okay, here we go. That's the Druid, the Krivis, and the Oracle. I've already used this for a while, and I hope I show everything that's worth mentioning. And before we start, like always, we're gonna use Kedoran weapons that are given away for free, so that most new players can relate. Okay guys, here is the challenge mode portal. Let's go! Okay, first up, the Druid class. Since this is the main class of this build, I think it's just appropriate for us to show this class abilities first. And we're gonna go with its mobbing capabilities first, and one of those is Cortas Mata. This is classified as a magic circle that heals allies and also debuff enemies with Rash, which damage enemies over time. So that skill is really good. You get damage and healing at the same time. And we use this in combination with Carnivory, and what Carnivory does is summon Corpse Flower every time an enemy dies with the Rush debuff. So this skill must be used right after Cortas Mata. Another mobbing skill is Thorn, and what this does is make enemies stop moving and damage them over time. Another filler skill, good enough while waiting for the cooldown of your other skills. So that's most of the mobbing skills, and now let's head on to the Druid's buffs and transformation skills. Let's explain Lycanthropy first, and what this does is turn you into a werewolf. This is your burst damage, and one of my favorite skills in game. Even though it has its downsides, like it eats so much SP and you can't use any other skills aside from werewolf base skills, it's still fun. I just hope they decrease the SP consumption and increase the duration of the wolf form. Now the next skill kinda fixes the SP problem of Lycanthropy, and it's Stonehenge. Aside from removing the SP consumption of the wolf form, this also increases Druid skill by 10%. So it's very obvious, use Stonehenge first before transforming to wolf form, so that you won't have SP problems at least for the first 20 seconds of Lycanthropy. Now for the last Druid skill that we're gonna mention, Sterea Troph. This increases your critical damage by 80%. So this is good to use right after you transform to wolf form. Just hope that you land a critical hit, because if you don't, this skill is kinda useless. Now let's tackle Krivis skills. Most Krivis skills are buffs and a debuff. Let's start with a debuff, and it's Divine Stigma. Now what this does is increase the damage taken of enemies by 50%, and when they are defeated while having the Stigma debuff, you and your party members are buffed with a 10% increase in strength and int. Cool skill, right? Max this out. Divine Stigma is good for both mobbing and boss fighting, and also good in combination with Death Sentence, an Oracle skill. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now for the buffs, Salsiai and Dino. Both of those skills are crit buffs. Get those, it's gonna help you a lot, and use it right after you transform. And now for the last Krivis skill, and it's Melstis. This is very important. Use this to increase the duration of your buffs. So what you're gonna do is use all of your buffs, then use Melstis, then Stonehenge, and then transform for maximum effect. Okay, now for the Oracle class. Let's do Death Sentence first. And this skill debuffs enemies that increases damage taken by about 60%. So this is really good, kinda like Divine Stigma. And combining it with Divine Stigma, you can have over 100 plus damage taken by enemies. That's a really good debuff. And there's an attribute that gives Death Sentence the ability to reset its own cooldown when the enemy died and Death Sentence is still active. Get that if you're just mobbing. The next skill is Arcane Energy. Now this records your current SP, then returns it back after the duration. So you can use all of your SP, and when the arcane energy buff is over, your SP pool will go back to its previous amount. A decent skill, but I rather just use pots. The next skill is Prophecy. This gives you immunity to level 1 status ailment. But that's not the reason why you take it. The reason is, there's an attribute that gives it an extra effect, which increases damage dealt to enemies by 30%. And remember, Prophecy is just level 1, and you get so much for it. Another one of Oracle skills is the Almighty Divine Might. This is a really good skill. This adds level 1 to all of your skills. Aside from skills that are fixed to level 1, get at least level 10, because this is the first skill you use before you buff yourself on the road to transforming to wolf form. Cause look at this. At level 5 Lycanthropy, you get 50% additional damage and 60% crit rate. But when it's level 6, because of Divine Might, you get 60% damage and 70% crit rate. That's really nice. And I guess I should mention Foretell. Now what this does is protect you from damage and also your party members. And this is good when the raid boss is about to one-hit you. So that's pretty self-explanatory. That should be most of the skills that you're gonna be using. But I think I should show you guys how I use Lycanthropy, the wolf form. First, I use Divine Might to increase the level of the next skills. Then Salsiai, then Dino, then Streatroph, then Prophecy, then Melstis to increase the duration, then Stonehenge, then Wolf form. I know it's a bit of a drag, but those buffs is gonna be worth it. You can use Divine Stigma and then Death Sentence before transforming, but in here I think that should be enough. Okay, that's the build. I think I should state the reason why these classes are here in this build. So Krivis, this is here for the crit buffs and Melstis. And as we all know, Melstis increases the duration of buffs. And most buffs in this build last only for a few seconds. And with the help of Melstis, you can at least prolong the duration of all those buffs, so that the wolf form can be stronger for a bit longer. Now Oracle, it's here because of its overall usefulness as a class. It has Death Sentence, an awesome debuff. It has Prophecy, an awesome damage buffer. What else could you ask for? And you also have Divine Might. I know, looking at the build, if you wanna focus on more damage, you can change Oracle to Zealot because of its damage increasing buffs and plus 50% to strength. But if you wanna avoid the downside of Zealot's fanaticism, Oracle is a good choice. But personally, I think you won't go wrong with either. Now for Druid, the answer is very complicated. It's here because I like the wolf form. Bye! That's another Tree of Savior video. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.